Hey folks, welcome back to Powerful Stoic Habits. Let me hit you with a question right out of the gate. What if everything you thought you knew about attraction was not just wrong, but actually working against you? I mean, what if all those times you were told to put yourself out there or try harder were like pouring water into a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom? What if I told you there's a way to flip the entire script? A way to stop feeling like a hamster on a wheel, running, chasing, texting, overthinking, and instead become the kind of person who naturally draws people in, effortlessly. Imagine this. No more chasing texts, no more bending over backward to get noticed, no more second-guessing if you're good enough. What if, instead of chasing them, they started chasing you? Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're at a party, or, let's be honest, scrolling Instagram, because that's the modern-day equivalent. You see someone who seems to have that thing. You can't quite put your finger on it. They're not the loudest, flashiest, or even the best dressed, but they've got this vibe that makes you want to know more about them. They're like a campfire on a chilly night, warm, inviting, and utterly magnetic. Now, imagine that you could be that person. What if I told you it's not about what you wear, what you say, or even what you do, but how you carry yourself? What if the key to being magnetic lies in silence, in subtle actions that scream confidence louder than any words ever could? Sounds intriguing, right? Well, buckle up, my friends, because I'm about to let you in on a little secret. The power isn't in chasing, it's in commanding. And the secret to commanding attention lies in a philosophy that's older than sliced bread, but still packs a punch today: Stoicism. Yep, we're calling in the big guns: Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These guys weren't out there writing self-help scrolls for nothing. They knew a thing or two about how to hold their ground and make the world take notice. Now, mix their wisdom with a sprinkle of dark Stoic psychology, and you've got yourself a recipe for quiet, undeniable magnetism. Here's the thing: most of us have been doing it all wrong. We've been chasing people like we're contestants on a game show, hoping for approval. We overshare, overthink, and sometimes we downright beg for attention without realizing it. And let me tell you, that energy, it's like walking around with spinach in your teeth. It's not the vibe you're going for. These silent actions are like keys to unlocking the part of the brain that craves connection, admiration, and even a little intrigue. When you master them, you're not just creating attraction, you're creating value. And that, friends, is a whole different level of magnetism. Imagine a cat. You know how cats don't care if you like them. They just do their thing, stretching, lounging, looking majestic, and somehow you end up chasing them. That's the kind of energy we're talking about here. No chasing, no forcing, just creating an aura that says, "I'm worth your attention, and you know it." The beauty of these principles is that they're subtle but powerful. They're about transforming how people see you while also reshaping how you see yourself. Because here's the truth: your power doesn't come from chasing someone's attention. It comes from understanding how to quietly, confidently command it. Get ready to dive into the first of these silent actions, a game changer that will completely rewrite the way you approach relationships: the art of never chasing. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's about understanding the psychology of why chasing pushes people away and how stepping back can bring them closer than ever. But before we dive in, I've got a small favor to ask. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a quick click for you, but it means the world to us. and helps keep this content coming your way. All right, let's get into it. Number 1, stop running after shadows. Let them come to you. All right, friends, let's talk about something we've all been guilty of at one point or another: chasing. Yep, that anxious, relentless pursuit of someone's attention that feels like running on a treadmill. You're doing all the work, but getting nowhere. Why do we do it? Is it because we think they're the last star in the sky, our once-in-a-lifetime chance at happiness? Or is it because deep down we're afraid of losing them, of being alone, or worse, not being enough? Come on, be honest. You've been there. We've all been there. That sinking feeling when someone starts to pull away and suddenly you're bending over backward, sending that extra text, over-analyzing every reply, and trying to fix something that isn't even yours to fix. And here's the paradox: the harder you try to hold on, the faster they seem to slip away, like water running through your fingers. But what if you didn't chase? What if instead of running after someone, you could stand still and let them come to you? Picture this. You're no longer the one putting in all the effort, feeling drained and unseen. Instead, you radiate a calm, magnetic confidence that quietly says, "I'm worth it, and if you don't see that, someone else will." This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about flipping the script and understanding that the most powerful way to attract is by embodying your worth. Marcus Aurelius, the ultimate chill philosopher, once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Translation: what you believe about yourself shapes how the world sees you. So, stop chasing shadows and start believing that you are the light. Let's break it down with a metaphor. Imagine you're a bookstore. If you're constantly shouting, "Hey, look at me! We've got books on sale. Please, come inside." People might notice you, but they'll probably keep walking. But what if instead your shop is warm and inviting, filled with the smell of fresh coffee and soft lighting that makes passers-by want to pause and take a look? That's the energy you want to create, not desperate, but irresistible. Here's why this works. Humans are wired to value what feels scarce and special. It's why the last cookie in the jar always tastes better. When you chase, you send a signal that says, "I'm always here, no matter what." But when you step back, you create space for them to wonder about you, to miss you, and to realize they actually want to be in your life. Let me give you a relationship example. Imagine you're dating someone, and suddenly their effort starts to drop off. Most people panic. They start sending double texts, planning grand gestures, or asking, "Are we okay?" But what if you didn't? What if, instead of leaning in, you leaned back? What if you focused on yourself, your passions, your friends, your life, and let them notice the space you've left behind? That's where the magic happens. But I get it. Stepping back is scary. The fear of losing them can feel overwhelming. Here's the truth, though. If they walk away because you stopped chasing, they weren't meant to stay. And honestly, why waste your energy on someone who doesn't see your value? As Epictetus once said, "He who is not happy with little will not be happy with much." If someone can't appreciate the calm confidence of your presence, no amount of effort will change that. Here's how you can put this into action. The next time you feel the urge to send that extra text or overcompensate for their lack of effort, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, am I acting out of fear or am I standing in my worth? Then redirect that energy toward yourself. Read a book, hit the gym, learn something new, do whatever makes you feel alive and centered. If stepping back feels hard, that's okay. Growth always is. But every time you choose to focus on your own value instead of chasing theirs, you're building a foundation of self-respect that no one can take away. Seneca put it best. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. In other words, you already have everything you need within you. So here's your first affirmation for today. Close your eyes and say it with me. I am a magnet. I attract. Now, here's the fun part. I need you to write it in the comments right here, right now. Just type, I am a magnet. Don't shy away from this, friends, because when you write it, you're not just typing words. You're sending a signal to the universe that you're ready to step into your power, to own your worth, and to attract what's meant for you. So go ahead, type it out quickly, claim that energy, and let's keep moving forward. Your next transformation is waiting for you. Let's do this. Number 2. See yourself as the rare gem you truly are. All right, friends, let's get real for a moment. Let me ask you something. Do you actually know your worth? Not in a vague, yeah, I guess I'm okay kind of way, but in a deep, undeniable, rock-solid way. Do you wake up in the morning and think, wow, I am something special? Or do you find yourself second-guessing your value based on how others treat you or what society says is enough? Here's the thing. So many of us fall into the trap of letting the world, or worse, someone else, define our worth. Maybe it's the number of likes on your last post, the attention, or lack of it, from that person you like, or even society's constantly shifting standards of beauty and success. It's exhausting, right? But here's the truth, and I need you to hear this loud and clear. Your worth is not up for negotiation. It's not a debate. It's not a currency. It simply is. Now, let's get metaphorical for a second. Imagine yourself as a rare gemstone. Not everyone is going to recognize your brilliance. Some people might walk past you without a second glance. Others might pick you up, admire you for a moment, and then put you back down. Does any of that make the gem less valuable? Of course not. Its value doesn't waver just because someone else fails to see it. And you, my friend, are that rare gem. The real question is, do you see it? When you truly know your worth, you carry yourself differently. It's not about being arrogant or thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about moving through life with quiet confidence and unshakable self-respect. It's about understanding that your value isn't determined by someone's opinion or fleeting attention. It's about knowing deep down that you deserve respect, care, and effort. Let's pause here for a moment and bring in some wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your worth isn't something external, it's internal. It's not about what they see, it's about what you believe. But let's be honest, it's not always easy to feel this way, right? So how do you start building that unshakable sense of self-worth? It begins with self-reflection. I want you to take a moment, yes, right now, and think about what makes you unique. And no, I'm not talking about surface-level stuff like your favorite color or your go-to Netflix show. I'm talking about the deep, soul-level qualities that make you you. Are you kind, empathetic, determined? Maybe you're fiercely loyal or incredibly creative. Perhaps you're the kind of person who stays calm under pressure or lights up a room with your humor. These are your treasures, your rare qualities. When you start focusing on these instead of waiting for someone else to validate you, something shifts. You start to see yourself through a lens of strength and individuality. Here's a little exercise for you. The next time you feel undervalued, whether it's in a relationship, at work, or even with yourself. Pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what virtues and values do I bring to this situation? Maybe you showed patience when things got tough. Maybe your kindness made someone's day a little better. Write these things down. This isn't about bragging. It's about anchoring yourself in the truth of who you are, independent of anyone else's opinions. And here's the beautiful part. When you start operating from a place of self-worth, the world around you responds. You stop tolerating poor treatment, not because you're trying to prove a point, but because you respect yourself too much to settle for anything less. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in a relationship where the other person isn't putting in the effort you deserve. Maybe they cancel plans last minute, forget important things, or just don't treat you the way you know you should be treated. If you don't know your worth, you might let it slide, make excuses for them, or even try harder to earn their attention. But when you do know your worth, you calmly set boundaries. You say, "This isn't working for me," and you mean it. You're not afraid to walk away because you know what you bring to the table, and you won't stay where it's not appreciated. People pick up on this energy. They start to see you differently, not because you've changed who you are, but because you've started treating yourself with the respect you deserve. And trust me, that's magnetic. Let's bring in another gem of Stoic wisdom here. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." Translation: figure out your worth and live like you believe it. I know, this can feel difficult, especially if you've spent years doubting yourself or letting others dictate your value. But remember, this is a process. Start small. Each time you catch yourself seeking validation from the outside world, pause and turn inward. Remind yourself of the qualities that make you extraordinary. So here's your affirmation for today, and I want you to say it out loud. I am valuable. My worth is undeniable. Close your eyes for a moment and let that sink in. Now, here's the fun part. Write it in the comments. Just type, "I am a rare gem." Don't hold back, because when you write it, you're not just affirming it to yourself. You're signaling to the universe that you're ready to own your worth. You are radiant. You are unshakable. And you are enough, exactly as you are. And now, friends, if you've got any questions or thoughts swirling around in your mind, don't hold back. Throw them into the comments. Let's talk it out together. I'd absolutely love to hear your stories too. How's this journey going for you so far? And hey, if you're not quite ready to share just yet, that's totally okay. Just press that like button under this video to let me know you're here and soaking it all in. All right, let's dive even deeper, because what's coming next is going to take things to a whole new level. Get ready for it. Number 3, actions speak louder than words. All right, friends, let's dive into this one because it's a lesson we've all learned the hard way at some point. Have you ever been swept off your feet by someone's words? Those sweet, perfectly timed promises that make you feel like you're living in a rom-com, only to find out later that their actions told a completely different story. It's a tale as old as time. Picture this. Someone tells you, "You're the most important person in my life," or "I'll always be there for you." Feels good, doesn't it? Words have a way of making us feel seen, valued, and safe. But what happens when those words aren't backed up? When the promised call never comes, the plans get cancelled again, or when you actually need them and suddenly they're nowhere to be found? Here's the reality check. Words, no matter how beautiful, are just that. Words. They're easy to say but meaningless without action to support them. And this, my friends, is where Stoic wisdom steps in to save the day. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, it's not about what someone says they'll do, it's about what they actually do. Let me ask you, how many times have you been let down by someone whose words sounded like music to your ears, but their actions felt more like static? Maybe they promised the moon but couldn't even show up with a flashlight. Here's the truth. Actions reveal everything: character, intent, priorities, far more than words ever will. And don't get me wrong, this isn't about becoming cynical or distrusting. It's about being smart. It's about protecting your emotional well-being by paying attention to what's real. Actions are where honesty lives. They're the clearest window into who someone truly is. Imagine this. You're dating someone who's always saying the right things. "You're so special to me," or "I'll never let you down." Sounds amazing, right? But then life throws you a curveball. You need them. Maybe it's something small, like a quick favor, or something bigger, like emotional support during a tough time. Do they show up, or do they vanish behind excuses? Do their actions match their promises, or do they fall short? This is where the magic of Stoicism meets the practicality of dark psychology. Instead of reacting emotionally to every word or promise, Stoicism teaches us to step back and observe. Pay attention to patterns, not isolated incidents. This doesn't mean you need to confront every inconsistency or pick apart every little slip-up. It's about quietly taking note and letting those observations guide your decisions. Let's put it in metaphorical terms because, let's face it, who doesn't love a good metaphor? Think of words like a shiny new car. It looks incredible on the outside. The salesperson is hyping it up, and you're ready to drive it off the lot. But what happens if you pop the hood and find out there's no engine? That's what empty words are. Pretty, but they won't take you anywhere. So what should you do? Here's the golden rule. Focus less on what they say and more on what they show you. Pay attention to consistency. Real commitment isn't about grand gestures or perfect words. It's about the small, steady actions that build trust over time. And listen, no one is perfect. People make mistakes, they slip up, and they have off days. But patterns don't lie. If someone repeatedly shows you that they can't follow through, that's the truth you need to accept. On the flip side, if their actions consistently align with their words, you've got someone worth keeping around. But what if this feels difficult? What if you're so caught up in their words that it's hard to see the bigger picture? Start by creating a little distance, not physically necessarily, but emotionally. Detach yourself just enough to observe without bias. Think of yourself as a scientist collecting data. Does their behavior match their promises? Epictetus had it right when he said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The same applies to others. Don't just listen to what they claim to be. Watch what they do. Now, here's your takeaway. Every time you feel swept up by someone's words, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what are their actions telling me? If their actions don't align, don't waste your energy chasing a mirage. Let their behavior guide you. It's the ultimate compass. And here's another affirmation. I trust what I see, not just what I hear. Close your eyes, repeat it with me, and let it sink in. And hey, drop that affirmation in the comments. Write, I choose to see truth. When you declare it, you're not just affirming it to yourself. You're setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. You're smart, you're grounded, and you're capable of seeing through the noise. Trust what you observe and keep moving forward with clarity and strength. Number 4, speak volumes without saying a word. All right, friends, let's talk about something that's incredibly powerful but often overlooked: the way you communicate without even opening your mouth. What if I told you that some of the most impactful things you'll ever say don't involve words at all? Think about it. Have you ever been in a room and found yourself instantly drawn to someone, not because they were saying anything particularly profound, but simply because of how they carried themselves? That's the power of nonverbal communication, an unspoken language that speaks directly to our instincts, leaving a lasting impression before a single word is uttered. Now, let's flip the script for a moment. What silent messages are you sending without even realizing it? Your posture, your eye contact, the way you move, and even the pauses in your conversations, all of these things are silently broadcasting how you feel about yourself and the world around you. Here's the kicker. Nonverbal communication isn't about being stiff or over-rehearsed. It's about aligning your presence with the confidence and worth you already have inside. Imagine this. 2 people walk into a room. The first rushes in, shoulders slouched, head down, their eyes darting nervously around the space. The second walks in calmly, their shoulders back, head held high, and movements purposeful yet relaxed. Who grabs your attention? Who seems more confident, more magnetic? Without a doubt, it's the second person. Why? Because their body language radiates self-assurance, a silent statement that says, "I belong here." Your body language is like a mirror reflecting how you see yourself. If you walk into a room like you don't want to take up space, people will notice, but not in the way you want. On the flip side, when you carry yourself like someone who values their own time, energy, and presence, others will naturally start to value you too. Let me tell you something fascinating. Humans are hardwired to pick up on nonverbal cues. It's part of our survival instincts, built into our DNA. That's why your body language often speaks louder than your words. As the old saying goes, "What you do speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say." Let's make this practical. Start with eye contact. Strong, steady eye contact is like a superpower. It conveys interest, confidence, and self-assurance. But here's the secret. It's not about staring someone down like you're trying to win a staring contest. It's about creating a connection while staying grounded in your own energy. When you look someone in the eye and hold their gaze, it's like saying, "I see you, and I'm not afraid to be seen." And then there's posture. Think of your posture like a suit of armor. It either protects your confidence or exposes your insecurities. Shoulders back, chest open, chin slightly up. Not stiff, but relaxed and composed. When you stand tall, you're literally telling the world, "I know my worth." Here's another layer of nonverbal communication that's often overlooked: the power of the pause. In a world where people rush to fill every silence, the ability to pause, whether in speech or action, is magnetic. Why? Because it shows you're comfortable with stillness, with yourself. You're not seeking validation or rushing to fill the space. Instead, you're grounded, calm, and in control. Let's make this fun with a metaphor. Think of nonverbal communication like music. Words are the lyrics, but your body language, that's the melody. And you know what happens when the melody is off? No one cares about the lyrics. The melody is what people feel, what draws them in. So, if you're walking into a room, holding a conversation, or even just existing in your space, think about the music you're playing through your presence. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great, But what if I don't feel confident? That's okay. Confidence isn't a switch you flip. It's a muscle you build. Start small. Practice walking into a room with intention. Hold eye contact a second longer than you normally would. Stand a little taller. These tiny shifts add up over time. And here's the best part. Even if you don't feel 100% confident yet, your body can actually trick your mind into believing you are. Amy Cuddy, a social psychologist, calls this power posing. When you adopt confident body language, your brain starts to follow suit. Before you know it, you're not just faking confidence, you're feeling it. Let's ground this in some wisdom from the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Your thoughts shape your presence, and your presence shapes how others perceive you." So, if you want to change how the world sees you, start by changing how you see yourself, and let that confidence shine through your non-verbal cues. Here's another affirmation. I speak with my presence. Close your eyes, say it out loud, and let it sink in. Now, take it a step further. Drop it in the comments. Just type, I speak without words. Own it, declare it, and start living it. You're magnetic. You're confident. And you're capable of commanding attention without ever saying a word. The world is listening. Now go show them what you've got. Number 5. Boundaries. Speak louder without words. All right, friends, let's get into something that has probably tripped us all up at one point or another. Boundaries. Be honest. When someone crosses a line with you, what's your first reaction? Do you feel like you have to explain yourself? Maybe you overthink the situation, overtalk it, or even over-justify why your feelings are valid, hoping they'll get it and respect your boundaries. Sound familiar? It's okay. We've all been there. But here's the truth. Boundaries aren't about long speeches, heated arguments, or dramatic ultimatums. They're about action. Because actions, not words, are what enforce respect. Think of boundaries as invisible lines that protect your time, energy, and emotions. They're not something you need to announce or debate. The strongest boundaries? They're the quiet ones, the ones you enforce simply by the way you carry yourself and the choices you make. Let me hit you with a mindset shift that will change everything. You don't have to tell people your boundaries. You just have to live them. Imagine this. You've got a friend or maybe a partner who's constantly cancelling plans at the last minute. You don't need to sit them down for a lecture about how they're disrespecting your time. Instead, you quietly stop making plans with them. Or let's say someone disrespects you with their words or actions. You don't need to demand an apology or get into a debate about why what they did was wrong. You just take a step back and reduce their access to you. Over time, people will learn exactly where your lines are, not because you told them, but because you showed them. Here's the brilliance of this approach. It puts the power back in your hands. You're no longer trying to control someone else's behavior, which, spoiler alert, is a losing game. Instead, you're focusing on what you can control, your own actions, and how you choose to respond. This mindset is rooted in Stoicism, and if there's one thing the Stoics knew, it's that peace comes from within. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't force someone to respect you, but you can enforce your boundaries by respecting yourself. Let's bring in a metaphor because, let's face it, we love a good metaphor around here. Think of yourself as a house. Your boundaries are the walls and the locked doors that keep your space safe. Do you need to stand at the door shouting, "This is my house, respect it"? every time someone walks by? Of course not. The locked door says everything it needs to. Now, here's where it gets interesting. When you enforce your boundaries quietly and consistently, you send a powerful message. I value myself enough not to settle for less. This puts the ball in their court. They have two choices: rise to meet your standards or step away. And either way, you've won, because you've protected your peace and your energy. I know what you're thinking. But what if stepping back makes them leave? And here's the honest answer. If someone can't respect your boundaries, they're not meant to stay in your life. Letting go might sting in the moment, but it clears space for people who do value you. Here's a real-life example. Let's say you're dating someone who makes sarcastic or dismissive comments about your feelings. You don't need to argue or explain why their behavior is hurtful. Instead, the next time it happens, you stay calm and detached. You don't laugh it off. You don't engage. You simply let your silence and your lack of reaction say, "This isn't okay with me." If they're paying attention, they'll notice the shift. And if they're not, well, that tells you everything you need to know. Setting boundaries without words isn't about ignoring problems or bottling up emotions. It's about letting your actions speak louder than your explanations. When you calmly remove yourself from disrespectful situations or stop tolerating behavior that doesn't align with your values, you're sending a clear message. I value myself too much for this. Think of this as quiet strength. It's not flashy. It doesn't demand attention, but it's powerful and it commands respect. People will notice, not because you're shouting about your boundaries, but because your actions make them undeniable. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Setting boundaries is exactly that, deciding who you are and living in a way that honors that decision. Here's your practical takeaway. The next time someone crosses a line, pause. Instead of explaining or defending yourself, ask, "How can I show, rather than tell, that this isn't okay?" Maybe it's not responding to a disrespectful text. Maybe it's saying no to plans that don't align with your priorities. Whatever it is, let your actions do the talking. And here's your next affirmation for today. I enforce my boundaries with quiet strength. Close your eyes, say it with me, and let it sink in. Now, go ahead and drop it in the comments. My boundaries are my strength. By writing it, you're not just claiming it. You're affirming to yourself and the universe that you're ready to stand in your power. You've got this, friends. You are strong, you are grounded, and you are worthy of relationships that honor your worth. Let those boundaries shine. Number 6, embrace change with grace. All right, friends, let me ask you this. What do you do when things start to shift in your relationship? Maybe they're texting a little less, or the dynamic that once felt easy now feels different. If you're like most people, your first instinct might be to panic. Maybe you start overthinking every interaction, holding on tighter, or trying to fix things. But here's the truth. The harder you try to control change, the more it controls you. Now, I know what you're thinking, but change means something's wrong. Not always. In fact, change is natural, even in the healthiest relationships. Marcus Aurelius, the OG of calm, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is where Stoic wisdom shines. The key isn't to fight change, it's to embrace it with grace. Imagine this. You're in a relationship, and suddenly things aren't as smooth as they used to be. Maybe they're pulling away a bit, or life circumstances are making it harder to connect. Your instinct might be to double down, text more, plan something big, or even demand answers. But here's the paradox. The more you push against change, the more you create tension. And that tension, it's like quicksand. It pulls you both further apart. But what if you flipped the script? Instead of resisting, you paused, took a deep breath, reminded yourself, this is part of the journey. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of the need to control every outcome and trusting that you have the strength to navigate whatever comes next. Here's why this works. When you embrace change with grace, you radiate a calm, confident energy. You show that you're adaptable, resilient, and unafraid of growth. That kind of vibe, it's magnetic. People are drawn to it, not because you're chasing them, but because you're creating a space where love and connection can evolve naturally. So the next time you feel that wave of uncertainty, remind yourself, I can handle this. Change isn't something to fear. It's an opportunity to grow, to deepen your connection, or to open the door to something even better. And here's your next affirmation for today. I grow through change. Close your eyes, say it out loud, and feel that strength within you. And if you're ready to claim it, drop it in the comments. I grow through change. Let the universe know you're ready to flow with whatever comes your way. You've got this. Number 7. The power of saying no. All right, friends, let me ask you something. When was the last time you said yes, when every fiber of your being was screaming no? Maybe it was agreeing to plans you didn't want to make, saying yes to a favor that stretched you too thin, or going along with something in your relationship that didn't sit right with you. Why did you do it? Were you afraid they'd be upset? That they'd think less of you? Or worse, that they'd pull away entirely? Sound familiar? Don't worry, you're not alone. We've all been there, caught in the trap of wanting to please someone else so badly that we forget to honor ourselves. But here's the hard truth. Every time you say yes to something that goes against your values or comfort, you're saying no to yourself. Saying no isn't just about refusing a request or turning something down. It's a declaration of self-respect. It's a way of showing the world, and more importantly, yourself, that your boundaries matter, that your feelings are valid, and that your time and energy are precious. I get it, though. Saying no can feel risky, especially in relationships. What if they react poorly? What if they feel rejected? What if they pull away entirely? These fears are real, but let me tell you something. The cost of saying yes when you really mean no is so much greater. Every time you compromise your truth to keep someone else happy, you chip away at your own sense of self-worth. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in a relationship and they suggest something that doesn't align with your comfort or values. The easy route might be to go along with it, to nod, smile, and push aside your discomfort to keep the peace. But what if instead you calmly said, "No, that doesn't work for me," not with anger or defensiveness, but with quiet confidence? By saying no, you're not just setting a boundary, you're setting a standard. You're showing them, and yourself, that you value who you are and what you need. And here's the beautiful thing. Someone who truly values you will respect your no, not run from it. Next affirmation, my no is my power. Say it out loud, let it settle in your heart, and drop it in the comments if you're ready to claim it. Because every time you honor your boundaries, you're telling the world and yourself that you're worthy of respect. And trust me, you are. Number 8, walk with pride, let them notice. All right, friends, let's play out a scenario. You walk into a room and without saying a word, heads turn. Not because you're wearing something flashy or because you're the loudest person there, but because there's something about you, an energy, a presence that quietly demands attention. You're not shouting for it, you're simply being. Now, let me ask you this. What's the secret to that kind of presence? It's not about designer clothes, a perfect smile, or knowing the right things to say. It's about how you carry yourself. When you walk with pride, with quiet confidence and unshakable self-respect, people notice. And yes, that person you're thinking about, they notice too. Carrying yourself with pride doesn't mean being arrogant. It's about knowing who you are, flaws and all, and showing up authentically. It's about owning your space in the world, not apologizing for it. When you carry yourself this way, you radiate a strength that's magnetic. You don't have to prove your worth, you embody it. Let's break it down. Imagine two people walking into a room. One slouches, avoids eye contact, and fidgets nervously. The other walks in with their head held high, shoulders back, and a calm, grounded energy. Who do you notice? It's the second person, right? That's what carrying yourself with pride looks like in action. But here's the thing, it's not just about posture. It's about how you feel on the inside. Confidence starts with self-respect. It's about treating yourself the way you want others to treat you. Are you setting boundaries? Are you speaking kindly to yourself? Are you prioritizing your happiness? When you do, you exude an energy that says, I know my worth. And if you're thinking, but what if I don't feel confident yet? That's okay. Start small. Practice walking into a room like you belong there because you do. Stand tall, make eye contact, and remind yourself, I am enough. Here's your affirmation for today. I walk with pride. Close your eyes and say it with me. And if you're ready to claim that energy, write it in the comments. I walk with pride. Let the universe know that you're stepping into your power, one confident step at a time. You've got this. All right, friends, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. From understanding the power of stepping back, to knowing your worth like the rare gem you are, to embracing change with grace, you're building the tools to not just attract someone, but to live with a confidence that's unshakable. Here's the thing, these aren't just ideas, they're actions you can take today. Small shifts that can transform how you see yourself and how others see you. Because let's face it, the most magnetic people aren't chasing anyone. They're standing tall in their worth, radiating energy that says, I'm enough and I know it. And now, I want to hear from you. What resonated with you the most today? Share your thoughts, your questions, or even your stories in the comments. I'd love to connect with you. If you're feeling this message, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next step in this journey. And hey, share this with a friend who needs a reminder of just how valuable they are. Together, let's grow, thrive, and keep building lives full of respect, love, and confidence. You've got this, my friends. See you next time.